Hey guys, Dave coming to you from the Hobo Dojo, and I just wanted to catch up on a couple of things here that I've been putting off. And well, there's one thing that I've been putting off, and I'm going to go right to that, and that is this. This is the final tally for our Cows for Christmas thing, and I know it's been a couple of months, but it was so chaotic around that time that we were going strong with the fundraising, and then with the Stop the Steal thing and all that controversy around that, it just sort of got eaten up because this ended a week after New Year's Day. And you know what happened a week after New Year's Day. So this got just blown out of the water news wise in terms of my consciousness. And it just sort of petered out and disappeared. But I never properly thanked all of you great people who helped do this, and there's hundreds of you on here that gave a little bit of money. $20,838 were raised, and that bought a lot of young, healthy dairy cows for people in the world who really need some protein to make their brains work. After that, I want to tell you about this. This is the Catholic Current. It's a radio show and podcast. And this is on many radio stations up and down the East Coast there. Don't get it out here in the West. But this was a man named Father Robert McTagg, who is a Jesuit and a real thinker. And I was very, very delighted that he invited me to come on and speak with him. So this is the page you go to. I'll leave the link below. And you go over there and you can download it. Here's the little download thing. I love these. They make it really easy. You can just download it, and then you can put it into something like this. This is the one I use, the Ruizu. It's got a little clip that goes on your belt. It's 25, 26 bucks, something like that, from Amazon. I've had several brands. This one seems to be the best built and to have the best features, the easiest to use. I make no money from this. I am not sponsored in any way by Ruizu. So there's that. Also, I wanted to mention a couple of guys. Let me get back out of this share. Wanted to mention a couple guys that, I wanted to thank you guys for watching the live stream. I thought it went pretty well. I think we're getting a little bit better at it. I think that we're going to be doing it every 2 weeks, unless I'm out of town, in which case I may be out of town for the next one. And then maybe Jason will figure out a way that I can hook up at my sister's place in Oregon where I'll be staying. And then maybe we'll do it anyway. But I thought it was pretty cool. We focused a little bit more on your questions, and I think that's a good technique. I think we're going to be doing that more in the future. We'll try to keep our topics down to 1 or 2, and then we'll just go out with you guys, and you'll bring up some topics. So I think that worked pretty well. And I wanted to give a couple of shout outs to guys from our community, from the BCL community, who are having channels of their own now, and they are named Mike versus Everyone. And he came in and with a comment on that live stream. So when I had a little time, I went and looked at a couple of his videos. He's kind of got an East Coast street kind of vibe. He's doing political commentary. He seems to be a smart guy, know what he's doing, but he's new to it. He's finding his way a little bit, finding out who he is on camera. And I think he'd probably appreciate you guys dropping by. And if you have constructive, polite criticisms, because, we're a little tender when we first start doing this, at least for myself. I didn't want to get too many harsh criticisms, but I would have appreciated in the early days any help saying, hey, I'd watch this even more often if you did a little more of this. Everybody knows in YouTube that what you got to do is you're working for your listeners, really. And so if they have ways of helping you get there, more the better. The other guy is named Cam, and his thing is called CamTube. His name is Cam, K-A-M, same thing. And we went back and forth. He texted me through Facebook, and we went back and forth a little bit. Seems like a really decent guy and kind of interesting guy. And he too he's trying to find his way, and he's open for some constructive help. So check out these 2 channels. That's Mike versus Everyone and CamTube. I will leave the links below, just as I will leave the link to see my appearance with Father McTagg. And I wanted to welcome any new subscribers that happen to find this channel because Father McTagg was kind enough to mention it several times and leave a link below his thing. So there's that. It's all good. I'm a little far from my mic. I hope you were able to hear me. Then I wanted to talk to you just briefly and get your impressions and your feedback in the comments thread. Not about this. We've already done this, but about this, which is the report that Trump is planning to return to social media with his own platform in 2 or 3 months, says his advisor, Jason Miller. And they seem to be going in this article on Fox with the assumption that he's planning to challenge Twitter, which I think would be generally a bad idea. I think he could be very, very successful. And I mentioned it several times in the last few months that if he doesn't end up at the presidency again, he will start something that I was saying he would call Trump TV, which seems just obvious. And I think that he would do something more like the Daily Wire or the Blaze, put together a little bit of a team. He was a TV producer already. He's got tons of connections that can make that thing look really good. And there would be no lack of talent at the ready to come work for him for cheap. And I think what he should do is not try to challenge Twitter, because all that's going to do is damage Twitter maybe a little bit. And then all the people that are on Twitter that represent our way of life would just go away, right? They'd go over to Trump. And then there'd be a bubble over there and a bubble over here. And whatever value Twitter may have for discussions would go away. So I think that's a bad idea. I think what he should do instead is maybe team with Rumble and put together something that is a platform like YouTube. So it's a video platform. And I think Rumble would be happy to host him. He would be their big one finally. They would finally have their big fish, right? And it would be real easy for him to say, look, I want guarantees that nobody ever tries to cancel me in any way, or I'll bring this whole ship down around you. So I'll help you rise, but don't mess with me. Don't mess with my content. I think they'd be happy to do that. They know what Trump is already. They know he's not going to be a crazy man, but he's going to be Trump-like. So I would, if I were him, see if I could work out a deal with them and then slightly change the comment threads on the Trump TV thing so that they were a little more interactive, because YouTube is not wired that way. YouTube is not that interactive. If you see a comment and you respond to it, it very rarely turns into a back and forth thread. So it doesn't have that thing like Facebook and Twitter do, where it calls people back when they've been commented upon. So it would be really sharp if they were to do that, and they might find out that that's a better plan. Now, I'm not certain that Rumble isn't already doing that, because I really have only ever been over there one time. So if I'm talking out my ass here, that's why. But that would be a good thing. And he would thrive there. He would love that. And he would love to have a TV situation where he could just come in anytime he wants and sit down with a friendly host and really get things off his chest. He could spend an hour on there. He could have his own morning show, because I guess he liked the 5. Maybe he could even hire away a few of them and build his own 5. With him, it'd have to be the 6. Because he does everything a little bit bigger than everybody else. So that's what I think we can expect from President Trump. The other thing that's, of course, in the news right now that we're going to be hearing a lot about is, let me get back to screen share here in a way and drop over to this. And this is the Boulder shooting. And the police identify the suspected gunman, say he's facing 10 murder charges. You notice this is NPR, and there's no mention of white supremacy, because I will not tell you this guy's name. It's scrolling by right now, but nobody's going to read that name and make the assumption that he is white supremacist. This is the list of people who he killed. They have hard names to pronounce, most of them, and so I'm not going to try, but there they are. I'm not going to tell you the name of the suspect, but I will tell you the name of his victims. Now, the gun that he used, and remember, this is within a week of the shootings in Atlanta. This is the gun he used, right? Now, What does this look like? Does this look to you like a pistol or like one of those assault weapons, those big, black, scary assault weapons we're always being told to fear? Well, it is, in fact, a pistol, as it says right here. This is a pistol, as is its brother down here. I think this is one, this is it here, and this is its brother, and they are both pistols. Oh, look, we got more pistols down here that look an awful lot like assault weapons. This even has like a star on it, some paint, right? It's the flag model, right? So you can go in there if you're a patriotic mass killer. I'm going to show you what this is how you get your gun in Colorado. You get it on the same day as long as you are over 21 and you are a Colorado resident and you have a valid Colorado driver's license or ID card. They'll do your check on the spot with Colorado Bureau of Investigation InstaCheck system, and you can walk right out of there. And the same is true in Atlanta. Here they're talking, this is in the New York Post, they're talking about Georgia's gun laws, and they are the same way. As long as you can pass the background check, and that only takes a minute to do. So this is what's happening with this. This is the next thing. This is what the gun grabbers are going to go after, is these things. And they're going to try, because finally, this will give them the dramatic looking thing. They can call this an assault pistol or whatever. They can call this an assault weapon or a military style weapon, which is what they seem to be after, because they want to be able to have that dramatic looking gun. And also, I think they feel a little bit guilty because the left runs Hollywood, and Hollywood is what's popularized these. These people aren't doing don't prefer these guns to do these shootings because they are emulating soldiers. They do it because they're emulating Rambo. Righteous vengeance is the thing here. So let me go back to screen share here. This is the homicide numbers by weapon. Here we have handguns up here at the top. Look at how huge that number is. This was for 2019. It always takes a couple of years. These lag behind a couple of years because for murder, they have to determine that it actually is a murder before it ends up on these stats. So here we have firearms unspecified. I suspect that most of those are ones where they never recovered the weapon because they were gangbang kind of things or robberies or whatever, and they just never found them. I would think that almost all of these are also handguns. Down here is the category where those semi-automatic military-looking rifles reside. 364. Where is knives? Knives are here. I mean, like fists and feet are higher than rifles in the murder category. This is where knives are. Knives and other cutting instruments. Well, it just so happens that last night here in Altadena, 2 bodies were found because there was a Zoom call going on, much like I am right now on camera. And in the Zoom call, the person who was on the other end witnessed over the Zoom participant's shoulder somebody dragging a body out of the house, and they 911'd it, right? And so the cops show up and they find a guy stabbed to death in the front yard. They go inside and they find the other person also stabbed to death. 2 people in their 60s. My neighbors here, this is in Altadena, and it's within 2 miles of here. I think it was 1.8 miles when I looked it up today. So, knives are a murder weapon too. And so they are a more popular murder weapon by far than the assault weapons thing. So expect this to bloom again. The gun thing, I mean, they're going to want anything to distract from the main stories right now, which are Biden kind of tanking it with both Russia and China, and not looking like he's going to be solving any of those problems anytime soon. And the damn border, which Jason has a video coming on tomorrow. I think it's going to, he says he thinks he'll have it done by tomorrow and have it go up. So that is really the big story right now, is the border. and they desperately want to move away from the border. And now they have 2 mass shootings in the passage of 1 week. You know they're going to go for this. You know they're going to go for this. And they finally have a pistol that looks kind of like an assault weapon. So here it is. This is what's coming. Thanks for tuning in. Just some housekeeping I'm doing here and teasing a couple of stories. And watch for Jason's video in the morning. And I have another one coming out before the end of the week, too. All right. Talk to you soon.